Welcome to Napster's Most Wanted, and my name's Chris Burian.
And I'm Ashani Varadia.
Today we'll bring you back in time to the start of an impactful case in the music industry. We'll explore how Napster has affected copyright issues within the music industry. Later we have a special interview with the CEO of Universal Music Group, Molly Winnell.
Ah yes, those lovely days when you could download thousands of MP3 files for free through the internet with just one click.
Well, if you do that now, you could be taking the court, Ashani.
All kidding aside, in 1999, Sean Fanning, an undergraduate student at Northeastern University, created Napster, the world's first music-sharing website, with the help of Sean Parker.
Unlike peer-to-peer networks at the time, Napster allowed users to share music with one another through Napster's servers at no cost to them.
It didn't take long until the number of Napster users skyrocketed to reach 80 million at 2000.
On December 7, 1999, the Record Industry Association of America sued Napster for the unlawful use of copyrighted material. Fanning had not been granted the right from the record labels to publicly distribute the songs that circulated the Napster network. Napster invited users to share music that they did not have rights to. This is also known as contributory infringement.
Furthermore, the court had found evidence that Napster had a financial gain for operating the service, thus holding them responsible for vicarious infringement. The judge concluded that Napster was guilty of contributory and vicarious infringement.
This was not the last of Napster's legal troubles. More on this, here's a Metallica insider, Conch.
Metallica filed a lawsuit against Napster after hearing their song air on their radio prior to its official release. Metallica sued Napster on the following charges: copyright infringement, unlawful use of digital audio interface device, and violations of the Racketeering, Influence, and Corruption Organization Act. The court ruled in favor of Metallica. Napster was forced to remove all of Metallica's songs in circulation. Aside from the lawsuit against Napster, the band also pursued 335,000 of Napster users who illegally downloaded their songs, who were then banned by request. This triggered many hateful parodies of Metallica and their downfall.
Now we have Molly, the CEO of the Universal Music Group, with us in the studio. I'll hand it over to Troy and Natasha.
Thanks, Chris and Ashani. I'm Troy.
And I'm Natasha.
Molly, thank you so much for joining us this evening to talk about this very special topic.
My pleasure. Any chance I get to talk about the music industry and its future, I take it.
So right off the bat, can you tell us a little about your experience on the Napster case? I know you were a young aspiring lawyer at the time and played a role on the research team for that case.
Yes, I did. Now, while I do love free music, the artists deserve to be paid. As Napster grew in popularity and went from an underground peer-to-peer file-sharing site to a full-fledged music media networking site, the artists and the music industry as a whole began losing millions.
And no wonder it gained in popularity. I mean, when you're standing at a record store with a $14 CD in your hand, it makes the prospect of getting that very same content from the comfort of your own home for free, pretty enticing.
At the end of the day, though, that is stealing. When you think about it, there's really no difference between illegally downloading that music and walking right out of the music store with that disc in your hand.
Sure.
It's interesting that you say Media Music Network. Would you go so far as to say it was one of the first social media ever created?
I would. I think that's an excellent comparison. When you look at the disruption that social media sites such as Facebook, Snapchat, and Instagram are causing today, Napster was doing that for the music industry about 20 years ago. Napster was also laying down the groundwork for future music pirating platforms like LimeWire, FrostWire, and Pirate Bay.
So thinking more about today's legal forms and music sharing access, what do you think are the music industry's biggest profit spinners?
What we saw from Napster was millions of people accessing music illegally. But the key here is access, not ownership. We began to see a movement of consumers wanting access to things without the ownership of those things. A great current day example is Uber. Why own a car when you can pay someone to show up at your doorstep in less than 15 minutes to drive you?
So a service as popular as Uber, how would something like that translate to the music industry in the current environment?
It translates in terms of licensing and royalties. There's a lot of money to be made here. The big players like Spotify, iTunes Music, and Pandora are cashing in. My point here is that service providers are going where the consumers are. Why buy an entire album for $15 on iTunes when Spotify will let you listen to that same album and thousands of others for only $10 a month?
So you say that there is a lot of money to be made here, but we've recently seen a huge artist take her discography off music sharing services.
Taylor Swift, I love her.
Look, this is still a relatively young aspect of the music industry. Like I said, Napster was only created 20 years ago, and the tech boom has given rise to music streaming services exponentially. However, it is important to note that business, as well as law, has not been keeping up with these technology changes. I think in the coming years, we'll start to see new legislation that protects the artists, their work, and even the consumers. Because when the consumer wins, we win.
Well, Molly, thank you for joining us here at Napster's Most Wanted. We really do appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk with us. Okay, so for Napster's Most Wanted, I'm Troy Tucker. Chris, Ashani, back to you in the studio.
So, Ishani, let's discuss how Napster has affected copyright issues in the music industry.
Napster affected the music industry in a way that no one could have anticipated. Anyone could register for an account on their website, download their software, and start loading thousands of illegal music files that are available for other users.
This was the first time major record labels came together to fight off Napster and claim back the financial losses they suffered. This also eventually triggered the start of Pandora and Spotify that allowed users to stream music online without paying. What these stores did was to continue to provide music for free without the music publishers and artists getting the correct compensation.
Do you mean to say that even today, companies such as Spotify are getting into trouble by the music industry?
Yes, in fact, Spotify has just settled a case to pay back the music publishers and companies between $16 million and $25 million in owed and unpaid royalties.
Wow, that is very interesting, but not too surprising considering Napster created this whole dilemma years back. How can companies like Pandora, Spotify, and SoundCloud avoid ending up like Napster?
The way to avoid the Napster catastrophe is to obtain licenses for the copyrighted music. Copyright owners such as the artists and songwriters hold the right to publicly perform their material. They license their music to services such as Spotify and Pandora, who pay royalty fees for this music. To pay the royalties, the music services must generate money from advertisements and monthly subscribers.
Music services can also offer digital downloads for the copyrighted music they have licenses for, such as Apple's iTunes Store. The store charges a certain fee for each song, and a portion goes to the artist directly. This is how music can be legally transferred to the listeners.
Well, that's about all we have for Napster's Most Wanted. I'm Chris Burian.
And I'm Ashani Baradia. Thank you for listening, and stay classy, State College.